Are credit cards worth using? The answer to that is yes and no, depending on who you are and some of your habits. It's likely everyone kind of falls on the scale of yes, it is useful in some scenarios, and in some scenarios, it can be very dangerous. So, let's take a look at some of the pros and the cons, or the pros of using a credit card and the pros of not using a credit card. So, let's start with the pros of using a credit card first. The main drawing points will be cash back, travel perks and discounts, along with event perks and discounts, building credit score, which is very important, and a little bit of extra available cash if needed. And we can group the first three together as kind of being the main draws in general for credit cards and why you would use one. Building credit's very important, and this is the dangerous one that can get a lot of people in debt and in trouble. But let's start with taking a look at just cashback. So if we just take a quick look at this chart from NerdWallet, which is just based on cashback credit cards, and these aren't necessarily the best ones. And if we take a look at the rewards rate, we can see that the percentage will be the amount of cashback we get for spending money on eligible purchases. So not every purchase is eligible, and especially if you take money out of an ATM or a cash advance, that will certainly not be eligible, as well as some mortgage payments or certain bills may not be. But let's take a look at some of the top ones. And for this example, if we take a look at the Wells Fargo Active Cash listed at the top, if we spend $100, we'll essentially get $2 back or in rewards that we can use to either pay off our credit card balance or redeem elsewhere. And I'd say in general, for most people, this is the top incentive of wanting to use a credit card. So you can just save a little bit of cash that over time, you can invest or spend elsewhere. And now we can take a look at travel perks and discounts. And these will be in some of the different reward programs for different cards, such as a Marriott one for hotels or Delta, and in different airline programs and companies. And these will normally offer an incentive for using this credit card for traveling, or if you use it every day, it'll give you points towards traveling. And this will depend a lot on your lifestyle if it's worth it or not. If you travel a ton or like to use the same hotels or same airline all the time, you have enough money that you are using to travel with, then these can give you some great rewards. But they also promote a lot of spending and traveling, which in every stage of your life or in everyone's case might not be the best and can get you in a lot of debt. And now for building a credit score, this will be important for your ability to finance purchases. So the higher your credit score is, the easier time you'll have qualifying for a house and getting the best interest rates, as along with car loans. And those are kind of the big ones, but for also personal loans and other forms of financing any purchase. And now let's take a look at the dangerous pro, which is extra available cash, which is also the main negative in using a credit card. Is that it should only fund emergency purchases, which means just because you have a credit card that maybe has a $15,000 limit, if you don't have that cash, you shouldn't spend it. But you can if you're in a pinch or somewhere, let's say traveling, and your debit card isn't working or you brought cash that you lost, you can use a credit card. So it's very important. But it really should only be used for that other than small day-to-day purchases, depending on the person. So every time we use a credit card, whether that's in a store by inserting our card, get approved for a purchase, or we're spending online, shopping somewhere like Amazon, we're increasing our debt. Since we're buying on credit, that means that we're not spending our money, we're spending the credit card company's money. So say you have a Capital One card, you're spending their money to promise to pay it back. So this is very dangerous because as we increase our debt, that's just increasing the amount of money we need to pay back over time. And where this gets really dangerous is if we take a look at the current interest rates. The average one is 24 to 25% for a basic credit card. And just to kind of demonstrate the dangers of this in a visual, in a credit card calculator, this is just calculating a credit card balance. So let's say we just have a balance of $1,000 and an interest rate of 24%. The minimum payment on a statement will be anywhere from about 2 to 4%, and it's not supposed to be under the amount of interest. So let's say we pay about 4% of $1,000, which would be $40. it would take 3 years to pay off the balance paying that amount, assuming we don't spend anything on that credit card. And also look at the interest paid, $400. So that's if we spend nothing more than that $1,000. But let's say every single month we put 1,000 on it. That means we'd only pay off $40 of this balance. So our total balance the month after would be 1,960. Now, if we calculate it, it would take us 16 years and 6 months trying to pay back that $40 as well. And this is just kind of the compounding power of these very high interest rates. So to avoid the snowball effect of those very high interest rates and getting into a ton of debt, you should only be spending money on certain things. Maybe groceries, something that you're going to need anyways, and a lot of other needs like gas. You should not be using it on something like travel if it's a large thing, or on hobbies for the expensive parts of a hobby, maybe some small odds and ends of those hobbies, and really just focus on smaller purchases. And we need to also keep in mind that we should never be making minimum payments, since it will be the highest interest of any other loans we should ever have or of any other cash we've ever borrowed. We need to aggressively pay off the credit card debt, as that is the most compounding and will lead to the highest amount of debts in the shortest amount of times. So always try to pay your full balance every single month. And if you cannot, try to take a few months and just pay everything that you have extra towards that debt. And now to talk about the pros of not using a credit card. They are much more straightforward, with the main point being that you cannot spend more than you have, meaning that in your debit account, whatever is in your bank, it will not let you overdraft certain amounts, so you cannot spend money that you do not have. And it's much easier not to. Instead of taking out other forms of money and very easy access to credit cards, you'll only be able to spend what you have. Very much simplifies it, as you'll normally only have one debit card. You'll have no credit statements to pay off, especially if you have multiple ones. You have to pay multiple different credit providers, and it can be hard to keep track of all of those payments. And so now for a quick summary, the perks of using a credit card will be cash back and travel rewards. And if you're young, it'll be building credit, which is made up of a couple different things. Your credit score will be made up of your total accounts, your length of credit, whether you have any credit inquiries to acquire more credit, your utilization, meaning how much you spend of the total balance on a credit card, and also if you have any missed payments. So if you're young, you should be using a small amount of money on a credit card every month and paying it off just to build your credit. But other than that, try to avoid viewing it as just extra cash, as a lot of credit providers are very predatory towards young people who don't understand the financial impact of using a very high interest rate credit card. And it is very important to avoid it when you're young so you can just continue to build up strong credit. And the pros of not using a credit card is debt avoidance, just meaning that you cannot spend as much money. Whatever's in your account, whatever you see in there is what you can spend. So it's a great way just to avoid the high interest rates and accidentally, in some circumstances, overspending what you bring in. And that's all I have for you in this video. If you're interested in seeing other concepts related to credit, please leave a comment down below, and remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And thanks for watching.